Back to another episode of the Empower Me show with Pam Bright. My name's Pam Bright. I will be your hostess today. And we are talking to Jasmine Renee, who's going to talk to us about water. We're looking at all of the different elements of water in the last few months. We've been doing that. And water really rounds up the 4 elements that we have been looking at, which is air, earth, water, and fire. And so Renee is going to talk to us about her experience and her expertise in the element of water, what it represents for her as a guide on this journey called the earth plane, and also what kind of tips, tools, and techniques we can use as a human collective to really assist us in allowing the element of water to guide us and nourish us and support us on this journey that we've chosen, being humans having earthly experiences. So, Jasmine, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. So, can you tell us, kind of in your own words, why you said yes to being interviewed today and coming on this broadcast for this time with me?
Hey, Pam. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. So as far as saying yes to this, water is where I started in my journey. My awakening happened pretty quickly, about 2 years ago. And water is where I actually started with actually starting to understand the makeup of water, as far as like how it's structured, the molecular structure of the water, as well as how it carries memory. And that's where I initially got started with water activations and being able to upgrade the and lift up the vibration of the water across the planet.
Wonderful. Oh, that's so exciting. That's great. Well, if you are willing to do that today, we'd love to get a little activating from you. Maybe the water inside of our own bodies, because a lot of my work is really connecting the human experience to the spiritual experience and really connecting it all together as one. And so these 4 elements of air, earth, fire, and water really have been kind of a cornerstone for let's pull all of the different support structures together for us to be able to really get that strength and that stamina so that we can continue forward in a healthy way and not feel like we're lacking as human beings having spiritual experiences here. So one of the things that I ask every single person that I interview on this show is, what does it mean to you to be a spiritual being having a human experience? What is that for you?
That's a really beautiful question. And that's something that has been an ongoing exploration for me. And quite recently, and I can't recall who I actually heard this quote from, but it was saying that we are a soul and we have a body. And that switched a lot for me, and just the wording, and it gave me a whole lot of clarity as to how I get to move forward in this exploration journey. And I think for me, when I look at that, it gives me a lot of hope. As I started, my journey, there are certain ways that we get put into our spiritual awakening, and it can either be from just sheer curiosity, it could be from pain and trauma, it can be from so many different things. And for me, in my own personal experience, what catapulted my awakening and getting into this work was just seeking for an answer, that this just couldn't be it, that how we live as humans and the trajectory that we're on, there was just this deep, deep knowing within me that there had to be a better way, that there was no possible way that, and I use God, and I don't know, like, feel free, whoever is listening, to insert whether it's spirit, soul, source, whatever, the universe, insert whatever resonates deeply for you. I just personally use the word God. It just, for me, it's all encompassing. But I was just like, the God I serve, I just can't imagine that this has to be it. And so I started with that question, just seeking, like, there has to be a better way. And then the answer started to come. And so that has been my journey up until this point with exploring that.
I get it. So let me kind of go off a little bit on what you just talked about, which is, what was it that you were experiencing that you were saying, well, this can't be just it? What was that thing that you were like, oh no, that is not acceptable to me. There's got to be something different.
So it started with, my mom has MS. She got diagnosed around 11 years ago. And helping her and wanting to, I just knew, like, when she got the diagnosis, that there had to be a better explanation. And as I started to explore, like, the human body and using food as our source of medicine and fuel and nourishment, it was just like all of these things that I had never been taught just started to surface and reveal itself. And then I got into meditation, and it just escalated pretty quickly from there.
Mhm.
And so for me, it was just out of sheer love, just wanting to support my mom, and just feeling like we couldn't, there was just this knowing within me that we're so powerful, and we have to be capable of so much more than we've been programmed to believe that we
Mhm.
even think is possible. And that when I started, like, researching and just seeing all of the medical conditions, and, like, how people were just suffering, and food shortages and water, so it just spiraled. And I was just like, this cannot be it. Like, this can't possibly be right.
Okay. So did you make a decision at that point that you were going to take charge of your life in a different way than it had been?
At that point, I was open to possibility, but I wasn't quite. It took me another, I want to say, probably about 6 years until I was pregnant with my daughter, for that realization to happen, for me to actually be like, okay, this is not right. I just can't stand by and just allow this to happen. Like, I want better for myself. I want better for my family. Like, what kind of world am I leaving my children in? Like, I just felt this call to more. I felt this call to, like, awaken and step up and actually seek the answers that I was looking for, and that I got to stop being passive about it and actually take action.
That's wonderful. That's really great. Because we do talk a lot in this program about, um, that calling, that pull in our spiritual selves and our souls. Many of us believe that we have a soul. I believe we have a soul. We weren't just dropped here, even though sometimes it feels like that. But we actually were given this golden opportunity as a human having a spiritual experience to take charge of our experience here. They call this Earth School. They also call it the Adventure Dome, right? This is actually a place where we can create anything that we want to. And when we get that premise of, oh, you mean I'm not a victim to my circumstances? The world really opens up in a whole new way. And it sounds to me like that's something that you realized. is that you were no longer willing to just settle.
Exactly. And it's funny because knowing what I know now, when I look back, I'm like, well, of course that's the way it happened. Because one of the codes that I carry and that I'm here to support with is the sovereignty code. And so I just have to laugh to myself. It's like, of course, because in my awakening, it was like I got to take charge, like you said, and just realize that there wasn't anyone coming to save me, that it was up to me to figure this out.
Wow. Okay. So you talked about codes. I'd love when we come back from break to hear more about your experience with what you call codes. And there are many of us light workers on the planet now that are holding these codes of awakening. And
Mhm.
Jasmine happens to be one of those people. And we'd love to hear more about that when we come back from break. So as we go into break, I'd really like for the listeners to think about, what is it about you? What's your pull? What's your calling right now? What is it in your life that you are just no longer willing to accept? Really think about that as we go into break and we come back into the next section. And we'll hear more from Jasmine about the codes of sovereignty, what that means for us as a planet, and what we can do individually to really embrace who we are as sovereign beings of light in a body. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Empower Me show. I'm here with my dearest new friend, Jasmine Renee. She is talking to us about the element of water. We're doing this 4-part series of the elements of water, air, fire, and earth. And we're seeing how these all come together as a whole for us to learn from as a support structure for us having this human experience. So Jasmine, tell us more about this sovereignty code that you hold.
Yes. So I love how you put it when you said that we all have these codes within us. Um, but for most of us, until we actually decide to step up and like really own our power and our truth and claim our light, those codes just lay dormant. And it doesn't have to be like this big thing. Sometimes we can overcomplicate the process. But it's really about just owning the truth of who we are at our core, our soul's essence, as well as releasing the programming and conditioning to feel like we're limited, we're less than, um, and just really tapping into the fact that we're actually whole and complete, and that we're here to support each other and come into community and collaboration with not just each other, but the planet. And so part of the sovereignty code is not just, I feel like sovereignty is a buzzword that's getting thrown around a lot without a whole lot of depth in true understanding to it. And yes, we are sovereign beings, but with that comes a lot of not only power, but a lot of responsibility. And it doesn't mean that we have to physically be responsible for everything and everyone, but we get to really look at how are we contributing to the overarching problems across the planet. Things like people not having enough food, not having their basic needs being met, the systems and processes and structures that we have in place. And it's not to say that we just do away with it, because we're not at a point in our evolution where we can do that. This gets to be a slow process. But the more of us that step up and that claim our light, that claim our truth, and that claim the fact that we want a better way, we get to stand for a better way. And that doesn't mean that you have to stop doing what you're doing. I feel like there's this misconception within sometimes the spiritual community that you have to do away with like your day job, or that you have to actually do this full time. The truth is that each of us individually, the more that we awaken, the more that we own our truth and our gifts, we get to embody that and bring that out into the world in whatever way resonates with us. It could just be as simple as being kind to your neighbors, just shining light wherever you go, looking at people at the grocery store and just giving, a smile and sending well wishes and blessings. All of that counts, all of that matters, and it actually supports in the overall vibration and ascension of the planet.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. It's very succinct in what you talked about. So I talk a lot about really coming from your heart, listening to your own guidance. So many of us, when we've had our lives up to this point, have had conflict around values versus authentic living, right? And we get into these patterns and these habitual habits of not doing what we really, really feel is right for us, but we're so programmed with doing the next indicated thing, no matter what, just go, 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 go. We become these automatons without really realizing that we have a choice in the matter. So when I talked about, we weren't just dropped here, right? We didn't just get born and then we're like, have no power. No, we were given everything that we could ever need or want right now in this body. We just haven't been taught how to access it. So Renee and I are, Jasmine and Renee, they're two of my favorite names. We have been taught how to share with you some tips, tools, and techniques that we've learned through our lives for how to receive the support so that you can live the best life that you have come here to live and feel like you're contributing to the well-being of others, as well as fulfilling in your heart's desire. So are you willing now to kind of walk us through some of the steps that you have taken in your own life for really owning your own sovereignty? What would that look like 3 to 5 steps that somebody else can take right now to kind of own that? And then we'll go into an activation, probably when we're done with that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So when it comes to sovereignty, a lot of times I correlate it with power, because in order for us to truly be sovereign, we must first step into our power and own our power. And that can be that can be a big feat for some people, because they don't realize how disempowered they actually are. And so what I like to call it is like a pattern interrupt, is to just sit there and just reflect on what does power actually mean to you. Because the other thing is, it can be this, to the flip side of that, people can feel like they don't want to be in their power because they don't want to have power over others. And this can go deep down a rabbit hole. I don't want to do that. But I think it's really, really important to define our words and what they mean to us. And so when you sit there and think about it, what does power mean to you? And then what does sovereignty mean to you? And then I would simply say to just journal on, where do you feel like you're in your power? Where do you feel like you're truly free? And then where do you feel like you're not in your power? This could be with situations, this could be with people, this could be just in life. And then where do you feel like you're not truly free? And that's an amazing part to place to start because that gives you a lot of information. And first, you have to be willing to actually look at and explore these deep areas. And one of the things that I found, because I also work with the Akashic Records and do these really deep dives, a lot of people, we can say that we want to know these things and that we want to shift these things, but then it can be this huge thing, these huge bursts of resistance that we get. And the reason that happens is because we're going against our programming, we're going against our ego or our thinking mind, and ultimately it wants to keep you safe. And so when it feels like your programming feels like you need these things and you need to stay this way in order for you to be safe and survive. And so in order to be gentle about it, I normally suggest journaling on it and just giving yourself grace as you go through this process.
That's perfect, because one of the things that I talk about is that, this is not light work. I mean, this is light work. This is light work, right? Because we're light workers, but this is not for the faint of heart. This work, you can go as deep as you want to go down this rabbit hole, as we talk about, because it really is, how free do you want to be? How good of a life do you want to live? Are you willing to do what it takes to be as free and as sovereign, as is transformed and healed as you possibly can? That's the ultimate journey here. So, really look at, what are you up to? Who we, in this particular program called this show called the Empower Me Show, we really look at, who are you being in your life? What do you want in your life? Are you tired of being sick and tired? What is it that you want differently? And we're always going to push you into that direction to face yourself. And so when we come back from break again, we are going to listen to Jasmine as she talks to us about the element of water, and what does water and sovereignty have to do with each other. And that's something you can kind of feel in your own body right now. Like, what if I were to answer that question for myself? What does sovereignty and water have to do with me, and how do they connect together? So just kind of feel that out when we go on break here, and we will be right back. Welcome back to this segment of the Empower Me Show. I'm here with my dear friend, Jasmine Renee, and we are talking about the element of water in this 4-part series of the 4 elements called Earth, Air, Fire, and Water. And we're talking about how we can choose our empowered lives in this day and age, with everything going on and every craze happening that you could possibly be experiencing. And how in the world does sovereignty and water, how are they connected? So, Jasmine, why don't you tell us a little more about how they go together and what you would like to do for the listeners to experience this magic of this work that you really do?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I feel like they go together because we get to learn from water. In the sense of, if you look at how water flows, how it's just in ease and flow and grace. Water doesn't try to be something it's not. It just literally is. Water goes pretty much everywhere. It can take all shapes and forms. And as humans, we literally have the ability to do the same thing, and working with different energies and where we're able to go and how we're able to almost shapeshift, if you want to say. And so water is just a really beautiful representation. And we're over 70% water, you know? So when we start to look at that, it's just really, really important. And I just want to highlight, because I asked Gaia before I came on, what was the message that she wanted me to deliver? And ultimately, it was a really short message, which I was quite surprised, but it was about releasing the savior complex. And I think we spoke
Mm.
about this a little bit earlier in my journey, but there's two sides to that. And the first side is this very passive side of just feeling like we're waiting for somebody else to take the lead and to save us, or for somebody to come down from somewhere and save us, when ultimately we get to each individually and collectively step up and be the change that we want to see in the world. And
Mm.
then there's the flip side to it, of not feeling like we have to take on so much. And this can be a thing for a lot of light workers, where they're getting frustrated and burnt out because we have to care for ourselves as well and be the light. But it's not our job to force or convince people to change. And that's the other piece of us really conserving our energy and our reserves and focusing on the mission, versus trying to convince and get other people who aren't ready to receive that message, um trying to force them to shift and change in ways that they're not ready for.
I got it. I totally got it. And one of the things that I heard um, a while ago, which was really helpful for me, because I have this huge calling, which I know that you do as well. And when we get into this place of realizing that we are being called from our souls are here for a mission, they came for a purpose. And when we realize that, our excitement and our yearning to fulfill on that sometimes can be really overwhelming. And what happens is that we get into this place of, okay, it's like our stress takes over, and our perfection around getting the word out to everyone possible in every second all the time. And that's just not a reality, guys. It's just not. Yes, you will receive what you need to, and you will give exactly what you need to it, the amount of people that are ready to receive it. And that's really the message, is there are certain people that are called your tribe, right? They're your people that you get to serve. So when we allow ourselves to be in the perfect moment with the perfect people at the perfect time, it really relieves us of this burden of stress of, I gotta do it this way, and if it doesn't look this way, then I'm wrong. When we let go of that, it really makes a difference in how we are letting ourselves just enjoy the journey, right? Enjoy the
Absolutely.
ride, because this is the one that
Absolutely.
we're on. So we might as well enjoy it.
Yes, absolutely. I love that so much. Perfect, absolutely perfect words.
So tell us what we need to do to receive this body of work that you want to gift us with today.
Absolutely. So one of the things is, what we're going to do is just a quick activation to support the water across the planet. And this one was Gaia specifically asked me to do, just so that people who aren't maybe familiar with this practice can see how easy and simple it gets to be. So this one is going to take less than 10 minutes, and we're going to activate. Actually, you're going to receive. And the other thing is, as you perform these water activations, it makes a huge shift in the quality of our water and upgrading the vibration. I mean, if you just think about the way that we treat our water is literally insane. Is what we need to survive. Yet that's a whole nother story. So you actually receive the activation for the water within your body and for all of your systems, and you get to upgrade your systems, you get to upgrade your frequency as well, and whatever codes you require, which I'm actually going to share the sovereignty codes with each of you. And we're going to send those codes as well to all of the oceans across the planet.
Nice.
So are you ready for me to start?
I am ready.
Okay, awesome. So you can close your eyes down gently if you like. If you're not in the position where you can do that, you still get to receive and be a part of this. So just take some nice, slow, deep breaths. And as you inhale, just breathe down to your belly. And then just exhale slowly. And I also work with different light frequencies and in light language as well. So sometimes that may come in. And we're just going to call upon all of our guides, our teams of light, to support us in this activation today. And each of your guides is providing you with a light frequency that is going to actually be for your highest and best good and to support you with this activation. And that light is just swirling around you, forming this beautiful pillar of light. We're just going to extend that out a little bit so it's encompassing your entire field. Allowing that light to come in to your crown and just start to fill your entire body up, all the way down to your toes, all the way up to the top of your head. And remembering to take nice, slow, deep breaths in and out. And now I want you to just see this light frequency that's coming down into your crown, landing in your heart. And I'm just going to drop in the sovereignty codes, sending them out from my heart to each of you. And it doesn't matter if you're listening to the replay or live, we're all in this together. And just allow those sovereignty codes to just drop into your heart and then ripple out from your heart throughout every single cell of your body. Shakatika manana, shakatika, shakatika humanaka, shakatika humanaka humana. And now just allow this light frequency to just ripple out, like spiraling out clockwise. And we're going to send it to the Atlantic Ocean. And you just simply get to set your intention that this is where it's going. and just allowing this, each of us pouring this light frequency into the Atlantic Ocean. And it's quickly shifting and covering the entire Atlantic Ocean all the way down to the depths of this floor. Connecting to the Arctic Ocean and spreading. Connecting to the Southern Ocean. And this light really just, it literally moves at the speed of light. So this happens really, really quickly. And just continue to spiral this light out from your heart and these sovereignty codes, pouring it into the ocean and allowing it to just spread. Next, the Indian Ocean. Allowing all of the beings, the sea life within these oceans to receive these codes, to receive this light frequency, to support the upgrades of their frequencies for their systems, their food supplies, our food supplies. And then spreading to the Pacific Ocean, into all of the water. It's just infused with this beautiful light frequency. And just notice, are you receiving any messages, any guidance, any knowings? And you can feel free to just jot those down. You can take a couple of minutes to do that, knowing that you're still sending this beautiful light frequency and you're also still receiving it. And I'm just going to set up a grid so that this will continue to support our oceans. That's what Gaia is asking me to do. So I'm just going to do that really quick. And now you can just feel that light frequency that you've been spiraling out. You can just allow that to just come back into your heart. And this beautiful pillar of light that has been flowing around you and through you, we're just going to allow that to just go down into the center of the earth, into Gaia's heart, so that she may utilize it as she best sees fit. And I want you to see these beautiful golden roots sprouting out of your feet, going down through your floor, down through the ground, connecting in to the crystalline core of Gaia's heart, at the center of the earth. And what this is going to do is support you in grounding and anchoring this in, as well as grounding fully into your body. And just see those roots getting even thicker and even stronger. And as you're ready, you can start to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing your awareness fully back into the present moment, feeling completely grounded. Having some water will actually be really great. And just knowing that this will continue to process and integrate at a rate and a pace that is for your absolute highest good. And so you're just going to want to continue to make sure you ground. Going outside in nature, putting your feet in the ground will be super supportive. And even eating grounding foods like fruit, vegetables will be really, really supportive.
Excellent. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
So that's actually a perfect place to take another break. And when we come back, we're just going to wrap it up. This has been an amazing introduction for all of us to water and who we are as beings of light on this planet who get to carry the expression of our souls into every single part of our earthly experience. So when we come back, we're just going to find out how to get a hold of Jasmine after this call. Whenever you want to work with her, you can do that. And she's got all her information for you, as well as we'll talk about what to look forward to next week and next month on the Choosing Your Empowered Life episode. So we'll be back in a couple minutes. Welcome back. You're listening to the Empower Me Show with Pam Bright, and I'm here with my dear friend, Jasmine Renee, and she's been talking to us about water, and she just led us through a beautiful activation with water and activating the water in the earth, really looking at all the different bodies of earth that we've been blessed with here. And really, would you say that we can actually pull in those energies that we activated from the waters all around the earth to include our bodies as well?
Yes, definitely. You can do that. And you can just simply perform your own water activations. That is actually where I started before I had all of the certifications and all of those things. And so a lot of times it's easier for people, especially who are just getting started, to just work with the water because there's like less fear there as in messing it up, when the truth is we can't really mess it up, especially when we come from the intention of love and just having those really powerful intentions for whatever's in the highest good for all.
That's wonderful. Okay.
Mhm.
So how can people get a hold of you after this if they want to work with you further with this aspect?
Absolutely. So I'm at Sovereign Guide on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. And then I have my website, thejasminerenee.com.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we are so thrilled that you came today to be with us, Jasmine. It's such an honor to be able to experience your work a little bit further and let people know that any support that you can ever need is always available to you. It simply might take a little bit of time before that support comes to you. But here's the thing. Once you have the desire to be supported, then the universe hears your call and it will start grabbing people and books and music and conferences and seminars and anything that you could ever need for support, gather it together for you so that you can experience the support that you're yearning for. You never have to do this life alone. And that is really our mission here on the Empower Me Show, is to let you know that and remind you of that fact. So we are going to be back next month with Choosing Your Empowered Life. And we're actually shifting the time frame for this particular show, the Empower Me Show, to in November, to 12 noon on Thursdays, just for those of you who are watching and following. So we will be all together, hopefully, the four of us, Natasha and Amanda and I and Jasmine, to talk about how we can all collectively, as a species, use these elements of earth, fire, water, and air to embrace all of who we are and all that we have to give on the planet. Next week, we're going to come back to this time and this place at the same time at 3 p.m. And I'm going to talk to you about the full body system wellness and what that really means, and how you can incorporate what health can look like, maybe in a new way to you than you've ever thought. Really looking at how we can pull all the different support structures together into one. If you want to contact me for any reason, you can contact me at the Empower Me Show at gmail.com. You can also ask any questions that you have about what you heard today, or anything that you would like to know more about and you want to have talked about on this show. Also, if you ever want to be a guest, we would love to have you. So I just need to know that you are interested, and give me a contact number or email to contact you back. You can also reach me at brightbutterflyenterprises.com for more information about the services I provide and what I'm here to do for you as you ascend into your light body on this planet. So we are so thankful that we all got to be together for this very short amount of time, but we're so thrilled that we get to do this. And we're going to be back next week at the same time at 3 p.m. Pacific. And we will look forward to talking with you soon. And Jasmine, once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for your authentic self and for coming from that place of sovereignty and love for yourself and for all of us. So blessings to you, the listeners. Be well and know that your life is up to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Empower Me Show with Pam Bright on Transformation Talk Radio. Tune in every Monday at 3 p.m. to learn more about living a fully empowered life. Remember that your life is up to you, and you can choose the spiritual path you are on. There is spiritual energy and wisdom in everything and everyone around you. Listen carefully for what the universe is trying to tell you in every moment. You are already being guided along your journey. Call upon your spirit guides anytime you need help with anything. Know that you are safe in every moment, even if it seems that you are not. For more information about Pam Bright, visit brightbutterflyenterprises.com or email theempowermeshow@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening. We hope to see you next week.